When I grew up, when I became an adult, I realized none of the cousins I was looking up to who were in their 20s when I was a child, none of them had their shit together like I thought they had. I always thought like, oh, look at them, they're so cool and they look so amazing. I want to be like them when I grow up. They know what they're doing in life. They did not. They did not know what they were doing. And I find this so ironic because the idea of you have to have your life figured out at 20 is so common when in reality, your 20s are there to explore. You're not grown up until the age of 25. That's what I think. Because when I look at it, most people, their characters truly set, and that obviously doesn't go for all, but most people's characters set when they're around the age of 25, 26. That's where people kind of understand who they are, what they want in life. They kinda start to figure out, what do I want to do with my life? And the concept of you have to know everything in your 20s is just bull crap. Hi guys, it's Alana and welcome back to my channel. This is a chit chat episode and this is just a random thought that popped into my mind, and a lot of people might agree with this, but you're not grown up until the age of 25. And as a teenager, I was always stressing about the fact like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Where am I going? 20 is getting closer and closer. What am I supposed to do? And I'm 27 now. I will be turning 28 this year. And I just realized it was never that deep. Like, some people have it figured out in their 20s, which great for you, honestly. But that's the minority, actually. That is the minority. Because in my teens, I was chasing dreams that were not mine. My dad, for example, he always wanted me to become a pilot. And I was thinking, oh yeah, I like planes. But what? Just because I like planes, I can't be a pilot. And I was chasing that for years and wasting away years. So yeah, that actually didn't work out, and I would never want to be a pilot actually. So yeah, wasted. Then you kind of come into this, unknown terrain where you're like, okay, but if I'm not chasing that, what am I supposed to do then? And then a couple years pass again, just trying to figure yourself out. A lot of shit happens and it shakes you to the core. It shakes who you are as a person. You go through ego deaths and it's a hot mess. It's a hot mess. And I'm not saying everyone is going through this, but I can imagine a lot of people are going through it. And I just realized I don't have to have it figured out in my 20s. Absolutely not. Just now I'm 27 and I'm starting to realize, what do I like? What do I stand for as a person? What are my values? And I realized, you know what? I'm just going to give it to God. I'm just going to give my life to God. And a lot of people, when I say this, obviously people will ask you, what are your plans for the future? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I have plans, to my core, I know what I want to do, but I don't know how it's going to play out. And in the meantime, I'm just giving my life to God. I'm saying, God, take over the wheel. I don't have a driver's license. I do, but not in the spiritual realm. And just take over the wheel, Jesus, because I can't do this. And that's just how I'm living right now, because you have to keep in mind tomorrow is not promised. And that's something a lot of people are missing. Just because we live today doesn't mean we will live tomorrow. If you would live with that thought every single day, not in a depressive way, but keeping it in mind that this could be your last day, people would live a lot happier. Because people are so stuck in anxiety, in depression, in thinking about their future when the future is not promised. You're stressing about things that you have no control over. It even says in the Bible, stop worrying about tomorrow because tomorrow will worry about itself. You don't have to stress about your future if you somehow have an idea of where your values are driving you towards, because there is an initial push since your childhood that is saying, I want to do this, but maybe you never had the courage, maybe you didn't have the support system, maybe other circumstances that were not allowing you to step into the person God intended you to be. But you will get there eventually. Your 20s are there to make you realize a lot of stuff, to reevaluate yourself, to reevaluate your situation, who you are, everything. Your 20s are there to explore, not to figure out. And I wish someone would have told me this in my teens, that 20 is not that deep. And what I hear from a lot of people actually is that 30 is where life really starts. And me personally, I don't want to get too old because I don't enjoy this experience called human life. But I'm just saying it gets better eventually. It doesn't get better in the sense of it gets easier. You just get better at dealing with things. You get better at dealing with, your emotions. You get better at dealing with yourself. Because as a teen, and especially as a teen, right, you don't know what you're doing. You're constantly on the search of who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Just chill. Just chill. Go through all of the things you're going through, but don't go down any wrong paths, okay? If any teenagers are watching, don't go down any wrong paths. No drugs, no alcohol, no, sexual immorality. We're not doing that. Stay pure. And yeah, it's just, I feel like even in your 30s or even in your 40s, as I said, life is not a race, it's a marathon. You are still figuring out, why am I here? What is it that God wants me to do? It's a constant learning and constant, progress. It doesn't stop somewhere. You're always progressing. I hope so. A lot of people are not, which is a huge problem in this society, that a lot of people decide to stay in their comfort zones and not move on with their life. But that's not what God intended us to do, okay? And once you realize, oh, wait, the adults we were admiring so much as kids, they didn't know what they were doing either. And that's one thing too. I had to realize, oh, these are still children. They're still her children. And one thing that plays into it too, before our generation, early marriage and having kids at an early age and early stage of their marriage was completely normal. Like, we're talking about marriage in their 17s, 16s. Like, that's insane. Me personally, right? I don't think you should get married under the age of 25. Like, don't do it. I've seen with most people that it just doesn't last because the personalities are not set yet. What they want in life is not set yet. And while they're trying to figure themselves out, they're letting someone else inside their life. And that is a huge responsibility, right? Marriage too, right? Kids, listen. Marriage is not something to be played around. Marriage is something holy, and people are treating it like something discardable and easy to obtain again, when in reality, marriage is one of the holiest relationships and bonds you can ever get into on this worldly planet, because you're sharing your life with someone. You are becoming one with one person, and that is huge. People are not aware of how sacred marriage actually is. They're like, oh, I'm marrying my best friend, while your best friend has other plans. Maybe, I'm not talking for everyone, but again, a lot of people just don't know who they are in their late teens and early 20s. My hair is not hairing today. What is this? I'm not saying I know myself completely as well, but I'm rooted in God. So if I know God, I know who I am. So that makes it a lot easier for me. And it's just, I don't even know where this video is going, but life is not that deep. It's just important that you find your own way. You don't have to go the way that society wants you to go. You have to go your way. It's okay to not want the worldly things everyone is working towards, because everyone is different. When I tell people that most jobs I could not do because I would myself, they're like, oh, why? I mean, isn't it like so relaxing, cool? And I'm like, maybe for you, but not for me, because I'm a creative soul. I'm a creating soul. If I would have to work a desk job for the rest of my life while not contributing anything of myself, I would die. I'm not even joking. I would die, because that has been me since I was a little child. I was always like, I want to create, I want to use my voice. I wanted to pursue music at one point, until I realized how messed up the music industry is. And then I was like, but maybe one day, in another sense, in a godly sense. But yeah, not everyone is the same, and not everyone has to want the same things. And I think if you take refuge in Jesus and if you take refuge in God, it's a lot easier, because he will show you and he will condemn you when you do something wrong that is not meant for you. He will be like, let's get out of here. That's not your spot to be in. And he will guide you and direct you to where you need to be in life. But yeah, again, life is not that deep. It is deep in the sense of, God, like, absolutely. But everything else, the things that society is trying to push on every single child and every single teenager, as an adult even, it's like, do we need that? No. Chill. Relax a bit, okay? It's not that deep. Don't think that you have time, because you don't. And just be. Not in survival, but in the moment.